Hey there! Now, if you don't know me, my name is Jane Shine, or Positively Jane. I've been a blogger for about 4 years now, teaching women how to choose joy every single day. I encourage women to rise above their circumstances, to look at their glasses as half full and not half empty, and to not let life kick them in the butt on a regular basis. And in the course of those 4 years, I've come to realize that the biggest joy stealer in the lives of most women is money. Money overwhelm, which causes money stress, and that stress spills over into every other area of their lives. And as a matter of fact, back in the day when I was a budget counselor, I would meet with women from all walks of life, and their stress and frustration was real. They knew they needed to get their money in order, but they just had no idea where to begin or how to even approach this huge picture of income coming in and money going out with never enough money to cover a whole month. So let me ask you, does this happen to you too? Do you seem to have more month than money? Are you sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Are you tired of being told no, that you can't buy the things that you love? Or do you go ahead and spend the money anyhow and worry about how you're going to pay the bill later? Or maybe you're in debt up to your eyeballs and you just don't even have 2 pennies to rub together. And when someone tells you to pay off your debt, you're like, yeah, right. Where the heck am I going to get money to do that? And I know exactly how you feel. I always thought that I had a budget. We got paid and I determined where we would spend our money. But my husband at one point in our early marriage told me I did not have a budget. I just had a record-keeping system. And of course, I took offense. Like, what do you mean? Look at the spreadsheet. Show me where I can make adjustments. Now, fast forward about 20 years into our marriage, which actually is about 20 years ago. I hate to admit it, but you know what? He was right. If you wanted to know how much money I spent on groceries last month, I could tell you. If you want to know how much our electric bill was for the summer, I could tell you that too. But did that stop me from turning the air conditioner down or up in the summer or not buying the fancy snacks at the grocery store when I went shopping? No, I just borrowed from Peter to pay Paul, meaning I moved money around from one line item to another to cover my expenses. We had no savings. We had no retirement plan, and we were about $600,000 in debt. On the outside, we were living the American dream. Nice house, 2 brand new cars, a vacation house on a lake, and a boat. But the simple truth was we only owned 1 car. Everything else was owned by the bank. We approached all of our purchases through the lens of how much payment can I afford, and then just added that to our monthly outlay. And besides the big stuff, we had all those little payments that accompany a family who was filtering everything through the lens of payments and not cash. Now, about 20 years ago, at the ripe old age of 48, I read a book that told me that a large percentage of retirees aged 65 and older live below the poverty line. And I froze. I just sat there and pondered our past spending, our future, and I had an emotional breakdown and sat there on my red cut velvet sofa and cried for hours, or at least it seemed like hours. I had hit a financial wall. I came to the realization that if I did not make changes in our financial life, our retirement years were going to be destined to be poor. I envisioned a 2-man tent and dog food for dinner. And one of the reasons I was so upset is because I didn't know what to do about it. If you would have asked me if I had an extra $20 in my budget, I would have shown you my spreadsheets and asked you to find me $20. So if there wasn't an extra $20, how in the heck was I going to pay off over $500,000? And you know what? I had no idea. And no one I knew had any idea either. They were living just like us. You see, every bump in pay meant a bump in lifestyle. It meant new and bigger houses, bigger cars, more vacations, fancier clothes. You know, all the things you want, right? And to add to the madness, we moved into a neighborhood where everyone talked about their private schools, cleaning ladies, and decorators. And I looked at my budget and thought, well, what the heck? All we can afford to do is go camping at $16 a night. And don't get me wrong, those camping trips are some of the best memories as a family. But I dreamed about the hotel in Puerto Rico that had that lazy river ride and just longed to go. So when I hit that financial wall, I hit the internet. Now, that was over 20 years ago, And there wasn't as much to find out as there is now. No one was talking really about money like they do now, and especially for a woman. I want to approach it my way, not my husband's way, which was, I'm sure, don't spend any money at all. If I was not going to spend money, I want it to be my decision and not his. Do you feel this way too? I knew I needed to pay off debt. I knew I needed to save more money. And because I didn't know or feel that I could find extra money in my budget, I went to work with a company with the sole intent of earning $1 million. Now, did I earn $1 million? No, but I discovered something much more valuable. I discovered a program on how to pay off debt, and it was simple, like so simple, and it worked. And I'm going to tell you all about it in just a second. Because you see, the reason it worked for me was because I was ready. I had a goal. I was afraid. If I would have heard about the program 5 years before, I probably would have dismissed it as who cares. But after I took a hard look at our money, I realized that we were literally one paycheck away from disaster. If one paycheck was delayed or did not arrive, we would have been late on all of our payments. And if my husband would have lost his job, we would have had to file a bankruptcy or foreclose on everything that we thought we owned. It was dire and not fun. So I did everything that this Debt Buster program told me to do, and we were able to pay off over $100,000 in debt in about 2 years. Yes, $100,000 in about 2 years. But the biggest thing is this. Because I was paying off debt, I was able to save money on those debt payments. Fast forward 2 years or so, and my husband lost his job. And because I was able to save, we had about 12 months of money for us to live on. Because I was able to eliminate debt, we had that extra cash. We sold our vacation home that we thought we had to have and used that money to start a new business, which 18 months later, we turned around and sold for a substantial profit. You see, it is possible to take a financial situation that does not have an extra $20 and find the money. There is so much hidden money that you did not even know you have. All it takes is a big why, a determination to make a difference, and action. My friend, the magic happens in the action. So this is what I did. Here is my action. I found exactly how much money my husband took home every single paycheck. He got paid twice a month. I added that up and created a monthly income. I then added up all of the monthly payments for our debt, and I subtracted the debt from the income, which gave me a leftover number. So let's say that Willie's take-home pay was $4,500 a month, and our debt was $2,000 a month. So we had $2,500 a month left over for everything else, and there was a lot of everything else. I then took each individual debt and divided it by the minimum payment and got a number. So let's say I owed $15,000 on the car and the payment was $3,000 a month or so. That meant without interest, there were 50 payments until the debt was paid off. Interest always added to the time, only I did not know how to calculate that. Now, there are some great debt payment calculators out there for you to use, and I would recommend that you add in the interest, but I didn't know how. So I did this for each debt. Now, at the time, I prided myself for not having any credit card debt. Oh my gosh, my head was definitely in the sand. But then I paid off my debt that I could pay off the quickest. So this is currently called the debt snowball method, but at the time it had no name. At this point, I had not looked at how much money I wanted to save for an emergency fund. An emergency fund is money you use only in case of emergencies, like if you lose your job or someone gets sick and you need to stay home, or a pandemic takes our world by storm and your place of business shuts down for a little while. Now, I covered this in depth in another video, so please check out the link below. So I decided that I wanted a minimum of 6 months set aside just in case. So I came up with a number. Let's say, these are all pretend numbers. It was $400 a month. So if you take the $2,500 that I had left over minus what I wanted to save for the month of $400, that left me with $2,100 to spend my leftover money. Now, after utilities were factored in and some other things, I was left with $1,600 left over. Now, this was a whole new way of thinking for me. I used to figure out where I wanted to spend my money, what I spend my money on, and then save what was left over. And because we were always increasing our lifestyle, there was never any leftover. Now, when my husband came home, because he traveled, I told him what happened and I told him my plan, and he was relieved. Unbeknownst to me, he was worried about our financial future too, but he knew that the topic of a real budget and saving money could cause a volcanic eruption in me, so he was just trying to figure out how to make it different on his own. And keep in mind that the numbers I just used are not real numbers, but they are very real numbers from some of my budget clients. Now, what I'm about to tell you next, though, these are my real numbers as it pertains to my cash and my cash envelopes, because I went on a strict cash budget. I would go to the bank and get $400 on Monday morning, and I would fill up 2 cars and buy groceries for the week. At first, I bought my groceries as I always bought my groceries. I had a list, but if I saw things that attracted me or looked yummy, like those cupcakes or Cheez-Its, I'd purchase them as well. Now, I knew that the $400 had to last me until the next Monday, but it did not. I was broke by Thursday, sometimes Wednesday. I learned very quickly that I could not buy all of those impulse items at the grocery store. I learned very quickly that a magazine that was $4.95 was a total waste of money when I could buy ground beef for 2 meals at the same price. Remember, this is 20 years ago. I learned that I couldn't buy things in the small packs because they were more expensive, so I bought the large packs and packed snacks in reusable Tupperware. And for the most part, I eliminated all of those snacks completely. I learned that eating out was no longer an option, ever. I learned that I could no longer get my nails done if I wanted to have gas in my car. I also learned that sometimes I couldn't go places because I was getting low on gas and I needed to make sure that I had enough gas to get to church and back on Sunday. I learned that I needed to plan my schedule better. The end of the school year meant yearbooks or school pictures. I needed to save for those. Or the vet visits, or our annual physicals that required co-pays. All of those things that I never paid attention to before. I remember one Sunday night sitting at the kitchen table counting the pennies in my wallet to see if we had enough money to buy milk for cereal for school the next day. And the answer was no, so dry cereal it was. Now, I need to interject here. We did tell our children that we were on a big budget, that mom and dad made some bad financial decisions, and that we needed to save more money. Now, they were only concerned if we were going to take away their allowance. You know how kids are. But we kept their allowance intact because we had a very good allowance system for them, which I'll explain in another video too. The beauty about them having their own allowance is they did not ask us for money. They had to manage their money. Funny enough, I taught them how to budget and manage, but did not do the same myself. I look back and wonder why. And the answer is, you know what? Who knows? But as it pertains to paying off debt, I don't remember exactly what order or what debts we had, but I do know that I started with paying off the orthodontist. It was a $1,500 payment with a minimum of $150 a month. It was my quickest to pay off debt. I took $1,500, divided it by 150, and it was 10 months. I could pay that off in 10 months. So I plowed that extra money, let's say it was that $400, into the bill, plus the 150 minimum, and I paid it off in less than 3 months. And then I took the $400 plus the 150 that was the orthodontist, and now I had $550. And I plowed that into my next debt payment, and I can't tell you what it was. I just know I paid it off pretty quickly, I think in about 6 months. And I kept doing this until everything was paid in full except for our 2 houses. And I was going to attack them next. I paid off 1 car, the boat, the orthodontist, and all of the other small things for a total about of $100,000. And you know what happened? I now had so much extra cash because those payments were now eliminated. I also realized that paying off the debt was fabulous, but getting towards that emergency fund was going to take more time than I wanted to give it. So what do? We sold things. We sold that 2-man canoe because I did not want to use it when I got older as my mode of transportation. We sold everything that we did not need. We took all of that money and put it towards our emergency fund as I continued to pay off debt. So after about 6 months of only using cash and never taking extra money out of the bank, I didn't run out of money. I used the cash system for 3 years, and at the end of the 3 years, I was only spending $275 a week. This is for a family of 4 for everything. And I mean everything but debt and utilities. And I cannot explain to you the feeling that I had, almost of euphoria, like every single month seeing our debt dwindle and our savings account increase. And at that particular time, if you would have asked me what financial wealth meant, what financial freedom meant, I would have said no debt and a fat savings account because I wanted to be the queen of cash. But through the years, as our income increased and our debt decreased, even though we sold the business we started and my husband got another job, we did not increase our lifestyle. It was at that point wealth took on a whole new meaning to me. I could see the trees in the forest. I could now see what was actually possible. I could actually dream and maybe even get to Puerto Rico and go to that hotel. Financial freedom took on a whole new meaning to me. It meant nice vacations, investing our money in the stock market so that our money could work for me rather than me working for my money. It meant living a lifestyle that I saw way off in the distance but never thought we could ever achieve. And I need to tell you why this worked for me. At first, it was because I was afraid. I found out that Social Security would pay us peanuts compared to what we were used to making. I never paid attention before. I was afraid that we would have to move in with our kids. I was afraid of being broke. And fear made me create a plan. My plan, one of my choosing. It was a plan for me to know where my money went rather than the other way around. It was a plan not just for me, but for my family as well. And once I had the plan and the determination, I put it into action. And I did not cheat once. Because just like a diet, cheating is a slow, slippery slope to failure. Because of a book that I read and the fear that it created in me and the course of action I took, it changed the trajectory of my life and the lives of my family forever. We are all living lives of financial freedom and joy, and yes, life still comes at us at 100 miles per hour sometimes, but we know that we have the money part covered. That part is under control. And you can do this too. All you need is a big why, determination to make a difference, and a plan, plus action. If you need any help, let me know in the comments below or send me an email to hello@positivelyjane.net. I'm here to help you find your financial joy and freedom. In fact, I am in the process of creating a debt snowball calculator for you. This will help you pay off your debt fast, and it also includes interest. So check out the link below. All right, I'm cheering you on. Can you hear me? You got this. You really do. And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button down below and click the bell for notifications because I have so many more videos about debt freedom, financial freedom, and finding joy in your finances posted or coming your way. Thanks so much.